and Senegal, chatting big ideas on jobs, security, and democracy. But here's the kicker. This comes as the U.S. is slashing aid and shaking up its international development agency, leaving these nations in a tough spot. Coming up, LindellTV's Kara Castronova is joining me to discuss the visit as well. But first, big news today, one less headache when you travel. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem made an announcement concerning TSA changes. Watch this.
I'm the Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you so much for coming out today. We have some very exciting news to announce that today we have started a new no shoes policy with the Department, the Transportation Security Administration. TSA will no longer require travelers to remove their shoes when they go through our security checkpoints. This is something that I know for quite some time people have talked about and discussed, and we know that when President Trump was elected that he pledged to make life better for all Americans, and that includes those who are travelers going through our busy airports. We want to improve this travel experience, but while maintaining safety standards and making sure that we are keeping people safe as they go to take their vacations, travel for work, or spend time with their families. So we took a hard look at how TSA does its business, how it does its screening processes, and what we do to make people safe, but also provide some hospitality as well.
Well, that's great. But you know what's not hospitable? Getting felt up nearly every time you fly, getting treated like a criminal based on what many of us know to be lies about 9/11. As long as we are trying to remove government waste, how about we just abolish the TSA altogether? TSA has never caught a terrorist, and the TSA's failure rate for detecting dangerous objects and covert tests was 95%. Failure rate in 2015. Now that improved to about 70 to 80% in 2017, with a specific test, though, in 2017 showing a 94% failure rate. We don't have public data to, after 2017. Gee, I wonder why there's no public data on their failure rates after 2017. Could it be because it's too embarrassing? TSA is not about actual security. It's a security theater. TSA is one of the biggest wasteful assaults on our freedoms, but not to worry. Noem says we get to keep our shoes on now because of Real ID and more advanced screening procedures, like taking our picture before every time we fly. So we've exchanged one form of tyranny for another. Great. What do you think? Be sure to let me know in the comments wherever you're watching. Maybe Kara wants to weigh in on this. She is live in D.C. with the latest on the African leader visit and more. I'm not sure if she's ready yet. Is Kara ready? She is ready. Kara, just talking about this latest TSA. Oh, we're going to give you your right to keep your shoes on back. I wanted to get quickly your reaction on that.
It's great to not have to take your shoes off, but there's, like you mentioned, so much more to that. Obviously, one of the biggest problems I have is going through that scanner where they scan your whole body. Generally, I opt to be patted down, but as you mentioned off on a call earlier, that is pretty degrading, getting patted down by TSA. So you never know which one is better, going through that scanner, which God only knows what radiation it has in it, or getting patted down and basically molested at the airport. So hopefully the administration will look into all of these things. And I do think that TSA has outstayed its welcome for the most part. It was put into place, I believe, after 9/11. But now it's time, I think, that, it's reevaluated. Americans feel like they're private. I have friends that don't fly because of TSA. Like literally don't fly because they don't want to be violated by TSA. I have a friend who's actually stopped and detained for 4 hours because she had a rack of hair rollers and they thought it was a bomb, and she missed her flight and she was detained by TSA. So yeah, really nightmare stories I've heard about them. Thankfully, I have never been detained by TSA, but I have plenty of friends who have been.
Yeah, I almost got detained once for daring to exert my freedoms. It was just ridiculous, the amount of how they punish you. They stop you. Who knows what list I'm on, what list we were
Right.
on. I'm not sure, but yeah, they get real nasty when you try and exert any kind of freedom. Like, look, I don't want to go through. Like when I was pregnant, I said I don't want to go through that machine. I don't know exactly. It's safe. And then they get nasty. Well, you'll have to get a pat down, and then they make sure that that's really nice and embarrassing for you. So I don't know. I just really hope that this is a step in the right direction of abolishing TSA altogether, but I guess we shall see. But I know you've been digging into other things happening. I know Trump is having that big meeting with African leaders today, and we also have potential investigations happening. So where do you want to start?
Let's start with the investigations because I know the audience is interested in that, and it's really not getting that much attention. And a lot of people do feel, I guess rightfully so, that it could be a distraction from the Epstein files and everything going on with that and all of the drama. I always read the comments, and there was a Gateway Pundit article, if you guys could pull that one up, and the comments are always the most interesting. People love this subject matter. Obviously, they want to see arrests and indictments of people like former CIA Director John Brennan and disgraced former FBI Director James Comey, who are now under criminal investigation by the FBI for potential wrongdoing related to the now debunked Trump-Russia collusion narrative, including allegedly lying under oath to Congress, according to that bombshell revelations from DOJ sources that was obtained by Fox News. But, like I said, if you read the comments in this story, people are just frustrated. They feel like this is just the administration throwing a bone to distract from the Epstein files, and they don't believe that any indictments or arrests will come out of this, which is really what the people want and voted for, was dismantling the deep state. A lot of our viewers and a lot of, obviously, people that read the Gateway Pundit and that really are diehard MAGA really just want to see somebody get arrested and indicted, somebody from the deep state that they believe are the enemy of the people. And obviously that includes these two really shady individuals for so long, John Brennan and James Comey. So there will be investigations, and I guess the audience is hoping for arrests or hoping for something to come out of this, not for it to just be another investigation that we never hear about again, some sort of distraction, like I mentioned earlier, from the Epstein files. And there's a good amount of comments on this article. I used to write for the Gateway Pundit. I still contribute for them. And this is an abnormal amount of comments. But if you go read the comments, MAGA is just frustrated, saying this is just absolutely a distraction. And we want to see arrests and indictments. And this is all to distract from hiding the Epstein files. So that investigation is underway, and I will give the administration the benefit of the doubt, and the DOJ, hopefully, and Pam Bondi. We had high hopes for her, and hopefully she could redeem herself. Actually, the DOJ could redeem themselves and actually, bring some justice to everything that went on, the spying on the Trump campaign, the collusion. They're saying that there's collusion with the FBI. And the CIA, they're going to try to get them for colluding and possibly obstructing together to, those falsified documents and trying to paint them as if they were not fake, which they were, like the Steele dossier. So all of that is good news, but I think even more so the good news will be if anything actually comes out of this investigation, Christy.
Yeah, Kara, I think the key word there that you used was redeem themselves. It's going to take a lot for them to redeem themselves out of this mess, because this is a talking point on the campaign trail and everything else that, arrests were going to be made, and that this information was going to be let out, that this was going to be the most transparent administration ever. And so it's going to take a lot to dig out of this hole. And I saw something that Benny Johnson had posted saying that the only way out is through. And he was saying that they just have to release everything that they can. Okay, obviously we don't want to release child porn, but any other documentation, anything else needs to be released at this point for full disclosure. And that's the only way that they can redeem themselves in this situation. Another interesting point I saw is okay, so he had downloaded child pornography. Where were the charges of that? The charges were related previously to child sex trafficking and, not child sex, but just sex trafficking in general, and some other charges there. But I don't know that he ever got charged with child pornography. And so that's new. So that seems kind of fishy. But yeah, we all have a lot of questions, clearly. And so again, yeah, the only way out is through more disclosure, not just saying you're going to be transparent, but actual transparency.
I think
other things that are going on, though,
a quick point about that, interesting, is that this, I think, is, everything that happened with Iran, MAGA was kind of divided down the middle. But in this case, I feel like really it's about 80% of diehard MAGA just absolutely furious about the Epstein files. You have people like Ben Shapiro saying he believes the FBI and he believes, the DOJ, but the majority of MAGA, including Tucker Carlson, who came out, and I thought I'm going to leave it at this. He said it could be one of two things: that Trump is in the Epstein files, which he doesn't believe is true, and neither do I, for that matter. Trump just isn't that type of person, and I think it's pretty obvious. But the second thing is it's just to protect the intelligence agencies, to protect the CIA, to protect the FBI. So really, that's what it comes down to. It's not about protecting, Republicans or Democrats. I think they would throw them under the bus in a second when it comes to Epstein files and child porn. It's more about the fact that this was an operation, the CIA, the FBI, whoever was involved. So it's more about protecting those agencies than actually the individuals involved. And I thought that was really enlightening when Tucker Carlson said that. And shockingly, mainstream media is actually reporting on what Tucker Carlson has to say, and not even smearing him, which is weird. So I think there's some merit to that. So, a lot of stuff going on and a lot of conversations, I think, about that, and really in the mainstream media, all of a sudden caring about the Epstein files. And Alligator Alley is also in the news. There are detainees there now, and they're coming out and speaking about their experience there, how it's torture, how there are mosquitoes the size of elephants, how it's hot or it's cold, and how they're not allowed outside and their meals have worms in it. There was a video, if you guys could pull that up in a second, on X, on the news. I think it was a local Fox channel, of a individual who is, I believe, attempted murder was what he was charged with. So he's there in Alligator Alley. He's from Cuba, and this is him describing his experience there for the audience, who I'm sure is very interested to learn more.
LindellTV Izquierdo is a self-described Cuban urban artist, says he's here legally, is a permanent resident, but last week he was arrested for a violent incident, and tonight he talks to us from inside that detention center.
Soy Leansi la figura.
LindellTV Izquierdo on the phone describing what it's like inside the so-called Alligator Alcatraz. Says he's been at the detention facility out in the Everglades since Friday.
Aquí no hay agua para uno bañarse.
No water to bathe, he says. It's been 4 days since he showered. 400 people, he believes, are inside the facility.
Te dan comida una sola vez al día, comida que ha traído hasta gusano.
Only gets fed once a day, he says, and some of the food had worms. Detention center lights are on 24/7.
Los mosquitos parecen elefantes.
The mosquitoes, he says, are the size of elephants.
Él es residente permanente, sí.
Izquierdo's partner, Katia, says he's a permanent resident who was arrested last week. First taken to TGK, then to Miramar, and finally to the Everglades facility.
Good morning, sir. You speak English?
No.
Here is Izquierdo in bond court last Thursday.
You're charged with aggravated assault with deadly weapon and battery.
The police report says it all has to do with a violent dispute with a tow company worker who was trying to repossess a jet ski. Now back to the call.
No te sacan afuera aunque sea un minuto a coger aire.
Complaints they're not allowed to go outside and the tents are freezing.
No creo que eso sea de humano, tener a personas en esas condiciones.
Izquierdo's girlfriend says these are not humane conditions. Also on the call, we heard from 3 other guys who had similar complaints. One, a Colombian national, says he's been there 3 days without his medicine. We've reached out to ICE, but a spokesperson says they cannot talk about detainees who are not in one of their facilities. Remember, the Everglades Detention Center is run by the state, but the state has not responded to our request for information. Reporting from the newsroom, Hatzavala. And
Yeah, so interesting stuff coming out of Alcatraz, and not a lot of sympathy in the comments from people that viewed that video, saying, well, maybe then they should just self-deport if they have an issue with the conditions there. They always have that option. So, that is just an update on Alcatraz.
Yeah, but a thought I had is he's saying that he's being treated so inhumanely on this long phone call he was allowed to make with a news station. Oh, you're being so poorly treated that they're allowing you a long phone call with not even like a family member, but like a news station. I mean, it just doesn't really add up. And are these the sources that we're going to hold up as reputable people that are accused of murder and that entered our country illegally, like we're going to hold them up in high regard as being true, having truth and honesty. I mean, I'm sure there's mosquitoes the size of elephants, right? I mean, it's all kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely. So I know that the audience was interested in the conditions there. Probably a little bit exaggerated by that person, but I guess in a sense, maybe we'll discourage people from coming here illegally or committing crimes if they are here illegally. That would make sense out of fear of being sent to alligator Alcatraz and being subjected to those elephant-like mosquitoes and horrific quote unquote conditions. So that's the news coming out of alligator Alcatraz. And today, as you mentioned earlier at the White House, President Trump, as we speak, is hosting a lunch with 5 African leaders of 5 countries that are rather smaller. And they're here. They were handpicked nations. If you guys could pop that article up from Brookings, Prosperity and Power, the Trump selective U.S. Africa Summit and the race with China. And if you could scroll down, if you could just pop up that article, guys, I want people to be able to really follow go to Brookings.com and check out this article because it really is a good one, really breaking down why this is such a fantastic diplomatic move by the president with Africa, because really no president has done this before. He's set to welcome the leaders of Gabon, Guinea, Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal. A lot of countries no one's ever even heard of, but important countries at this 3-day summit in Washington starting today. And the president of these 5 countries are here to meet with President Trump in bilateral discussions and a working lunch. The United States has made it clear that it seeks partnerships grounded, and this is important, in mutual economic benefit, especially in trade, investment, and critical minerals. And while the emphasis might appear to be strictly economic, the summit reflects a broader strategic ambition of reasserting U.S. power and influence in a region where rivals have surged ahead, like China, for example, like Russia, have made a lot of inroads with these African nations. And President Trump is trying to counter that by inviting these 5 nations that really don't have ties to BRICS, unlike a lot of the other nations like South Africa and Ethiopia and others who really have become allies within BRICS. So the president is meeting them there, and not to really underestimate how many minerals and natural resources these countries have, like gold, from what I understand, so many rare earth minerals that we use in our electronics. So this will be more of an even type of relationship the president is hoping. In the past, where U.S. aid was being sent to these countries with nothing in expected for return to the United States, this will be more of a fair, balanced sort of relationship the president is hoping with these African countries. So that is what is going on right now at the White House. If you guys could pull that other article up really quick, that article that was what Trump's Africa summit is trying to achieve, a lot that is trying to achieve. He's hosting, this is a surprise summit, by the way. This isn't something that was on the schedule for a while. This is a surprise summit. And like I mentioned earlier, what he's really trying to achieve is a deal with these countries based on trade, security, migration, and critical minerals. Again, not based on the United States just giving countless amounts of aid to Africa. As you know, like I mentioned earlier, that aid was cut, and there was a lot of visa bans on these countries. And important to note, too, that these countries are gateways. People are saying a lot of these countries are on the coast, on the water, and a lot of people from Africa that are migrants will come to these countries, these 5 countries, and from there go to South America and then come across the border illegally. So this is sort of like a gateway point these countries are for illegal immigrants coming from Africa. So I think the president is hoping to really put a lockdown, I guess, on those migrations over there, starting there in Africa, rather than letting them get to, I guess, Central America or South America and then coming across the border. So that is on the table for the president today and in the next 3 days with this summit with these with these 5 African nations.
Well, our president is certainly keeping busy. I mean, he's got this. I know later in the week, he said that he's going to visit Texas. He's been staying out of the way as they're continuing to have the efforts, retrieval efforts and rescue efforts. But he's going to be doing that. It just never ceases to amaze me, like this man's schedule. Like, I don't know how he does all of this. But
it's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
Yes. Sounds like a lot, like a many-pronged approach to this Africa summit, with the minerals and the aid and the immigration tied in. So interesting to see what more comes out from that visit. So anything else you wanted to share with us, Kara?
Not really. I mean, a lot, like I mentioned, going on. Netanyahu is here. Something's passing by, a very loud vehicle. I don't know what they're doing. Landscapers here at the White House. He visited obviously for the past 3 days, so the streets are rather shut down in the city. I haven't seen anything like it since my time here, where I'd say about a 3 or 4 block radius around the White House is closed off to traffic. I don't know what type of intel they have that they feel that this is necessary. There's gates everywhere, so it's difficult really to go out and talk to people, which we love to do during DC Live because it is gated off over here. And he was meeting earlier today with Pete Hegseth over at the Pentagon, so I'm sure that a lot came out of that meeting with Pete Hegseth. And also later today, the Prime Minister is also expected to meet with some evangelical and Jewish groups for a dinner, I believe, later today. The location, from what I understand, has not yet been disclosed, but that's on the agenda for Prime Minister Netanyahu later today.
Excellent. Well, we'll let you get back to work then there for DC Live. I'm sure we'll be seeing you in just a little bit. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Christy.
You bet. Kara Castronova, keeping it locked down there in DC. Well, thanks for her report. And we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we're going to have more on the Musk meltdown. It seems to be continuing. What that could mean, what that's about after this quick break.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
Got some breaking news for you here on DC Dispatch. Linda Yaccarino posted on X that she is stepping down as CEO of the platform. It comes just a day after Grok, the AI chatbot there on X, sparked outrage with anti-Semitic rants, forcing X to scramble and delete posts. This shakeup also follows months of turbulence at X, with Elon Musk's AI firm XAI taking over the platform in a $33 billion deal back in March. But could this also be related to Musk getting more political? The timing coinciding with Musk's public feud with former ally Donald Trump, adding more drama to the tech mogul's empire. He has sparked a firestorm by launching the America Party with Indian-born Tesla CFO Vaibhav Taneja as treasurer, filing with the FEC on July 6th of 2025. The move, slamming as the H-1B party online, follows Musk's feud with Trump over the massive tax bill, with Musk aiming for a centrist party to sway key congressional seats, per the Gateway Pundit. Now let's take a listen to CNN's Scott Jennings, how he reacts to this America Party.
Than it looks to start a political party, we'll see where they go with it. My humble advice to Elon, who I admire very much actually, is that you may be dividing the forces of people who want to save Western civilization to the benefit of the people who don't. And so to the extent that this effort would divide conservatives and Republicans against each other, that would be helpful, because it would leave the country to people who want unfettered immigration, who don't share your fiscal views, and so on and so forth. So we'll see where it goes. I I sort of hope everybody puts the band back together the way they had it back in 2024, because when everybody was working together, things worked quite well.
I'm just curious, if they're on the side of Western civilization, what's the other civilization that people want?
Not Western civilization.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. I think people,
terrible.
I think,
Not
I think
American
civilization,
values, not Western civilization.
I think there's a lot.
I don't know. I mean, this is how the two-party system has continued to be only a two-party system, and oftentimes uniparty, is because there's arguments like that. Either side, whenever there's an alternative, worries like, oh, you're just going to water down our side. And so the tit for tat, the spit for spat, whatever, continues. And I think we all suffer for it. But I don't know. I'm not sure what the solution is there. I'm not sure I agree with Scott Jennings, thinking that perhaps it would dilute the leftists as well. I mean, we heard the same argument with the RFK Jr. Third party. So we'll see what happens with that. But here is Trump. He wrote a scathing response to Musk. He said, I'm saddened to watch Elon Musk go completely off the rails, essentially becoming a train wreck over the past 5 weeks. He wants to start a third political party, despite the fact they have never succeeded in the United States. The system's not designed for them. The one thing third parties are good for is the creation of complete and total disruption and chaos. And we have enough of that with radical left Democrats who have lost their confidence and their minds. And it goes on and on and on from there, knocking EVs, explaining why he didn't choose Elon's friend to run NASA, and so on. Again, it's sad. It's sad that we can't have more options, but I guess I understand where they're coming from. With all of this political drama happening in the Elon Musk sphere, Tesla shares have crashed in response, wiping out $68 billion in market value after he announced this America party. Drop one of the worst since a 14% plunge in June. It comes amid the ongoing feud with Trump, of course, according to CNBC. Now, some Tesla investors are demanding the board act now as Musk dives deeper into politics, which seeming to affect the value. CNBC reports Elon Musk just telling Tesla bull Dan Ives, though, to shut up after the analyst suggested the board rein him in from his political stunts. Ives, who's usually a huge Musk fan with a $500 price target, is now pushing for the board to put some guardrails on the CEO's wild ride. Now, speaking of market action, let's take a live look at what's happening today over there on Market Watch. Let's see where we're standing at with those numbers. Now, it looks like we jumped back into the green today. So maybe some recovery, perhaps with this visit from African leaders. You never know what the investor sentiment is over on Wall Street, but it looks like there is some recovery happening. Says the headline says that stock to seek to halt losing streaks as Wall Street awaits minutes of a Fed's June meeting. So could always go up and down, up and down. And that's why we suggest you have some precious metals in your portfolio, and suggest you do that over with MikeLindellGold.com. That's MikeLindellGold.com. There's a couple big gifts there for you available if you qualify. And you really should consider, if you're like, hey, I just don't have the extra money to make yet another investment, consider seeing if you can do a partial 401k or IRA rollover, again, for true diversification against all asset classes, getting some precious metals in your portfolio. You can also invest in energy. We suggest you do that at ChristyOilBoom.com. ChristyOilBoom.com. Our friends over at the Oxford Club, who've been doing this for decades, want to get you in on the action of an energy play, the ultimate passive income play. So check out that video over there. And also, just a reminder, Mike Lindell, he's been through the ringer with these trials, with the persecution. So support what he's doing with this network and everything else. You can do that by going to mypillow.com/KL. That's mypillow.com/KL. Use promo code KL. That helps support this show in particular. And just to close out, despite all these wins with the big, beautiful bill, the tariff wins, Powell is remaining a thorn on Trump's side. And so he has indicated that he's cool with a probe of Jerome Powell. And so interesting to see where that could lead. Maybe an audit. Maybe we could finally make a step toward getting rid of the central bank. We'll see. But that's all the time I have for here on DC Dispatch. We'll continue with more news over tomorrow. And stay right here on LindellTV White House coverage live.